Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Since the United States of America is trying to isolate the rest of the world from its little group of weasels, the big world out there is making connections outside of US's control. So US's policy of containment and isolation works as far as they being isolated from everybody else. They being United States with its little group of people and their Lebensraum that they have, which is their living space. And proof to that is the new developments between Iran and Saudi Arabia with the help of China. So you have Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, and Iran, and that was brokered by China. And the United States stays on the sidelines, beating it. So I have two articles here, one from a credible source, which is the Telegraph, and the other one, a not so credible, from Sputnik. So let's go with a credible source. So this is from Telegraph, it's from March 10th, 2023. China brokers deal for Iran and Saudi Arabia to resume diplomatic relations. What does that tell you, US? They are with you? Or Iran, Saudi Arabia agreed to restore diplomatic relations. So let's start with beautiful these ones. Iran and Saudi Arabia are to resume diplomatic relations, the two countries announced in a joint statement on Friday in a diplomatic coup for China, which brokered the agreement. The agreement to restore ties within 10 months was reached after 4 days of meetings in Beijing between the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, Ali Shamkhani, and his Saudi counterpart, Mossad bin Mohammed Al Ayban, the two countries said in a joint communique with China. The deal represents a major diplomatic coup for Beijing as the United States and the West pivots away from the Middle East. I don't think it pivots away. It is they're kicked out of the Middle East. But hey, this is the good, the Telegraph. Pivots away. No, it needs oil, so it's not going to pivot away. It's not going to let it. Just their message is a wrong message, and their message is the one that's been for some time already. We are your masters. And they don't want to be their servants. And when you come to a state and you are friends with those states in the region by using blackmail, threats, regime change, and invasion, what do you expect the countries over there to do? Love you for that? I mean, putting that in the context of your friendship or in their neighborhood. If you have a neighbor who comes and if you don't do whatever he or she wants, he's going to start threatening you with beating you. And then if you continue not to follow orders, he's going to blackmail you with something. And then he's going to simply try to cause problems inside your house. So somehow these guys are tying you down and throwing you in the basement over there and take over your household. And if that doesn't work, it comes with other weasels because they're courageous. They don't come alone. They come with other weasels and beat you up into submission. So who would like that? Would you like that? If you like that, congratulations. You'd be the receiving end, and let me be at the giving end. Anyway, so let's see what else is over here. This is a big deal, end quote, said Michael Stephens, an associate fellow at RUSI. And I'm quoting, not because Saudi and Iran have patched things up, but because the US was nowhere near it. Shifts are happening very, very fast. I've been saying that for some time already. So Riyadh cut ties with Tehran in 2016 after protests attacked its diplomatic posts in Iran following Saudi Arabia execution of prominent cleric. Okay, well, and let's see what these guys are saying. That's the same information here. And we got Ali Shamkhani, the Secretary of the Iran Supreme National Security Council, had thanked China for facilitating the talks. And I'm quoting, I highly appreciate the constructive role of the People's Republic of China in supporting the development of relations between countries, which is necessary to solve problems and strengthen peace and stability, as well as the development of international cooperation. So the Chinese did not work at this time with blackmail and threats, unlike the country of the free and the brave that spreads democracy and justice and freedom everywhere with bombs. So anyway, see, it's however you want to put your head in the sand and ignore reality, reality eventually will come out, little by little. Now this is a telegraph, even the telegraph with its weasel way of putting, like the West pivots away. Really, I don't remember Salman going over there, Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, going to Biden's and trying to ask for favors. But I saw Biden, the US, coming over there and begging for oil. So who pivots? I heard that Biden's phone calls were not taken by Mohammed bin Salman, not vice versa. Again, who pivots? I heard that, what's his name, Sullivan, that little weasel, went over there and Salman yelled at him, Mohammed bin Salman, when he mentioned Khashoggi. Did you hear anything about Khashoggi lately? And if not, why not? Because he said, you know what, we don't give out. What are you going to do about it? About us? Nothing. We own you. We own you. We own you. So, you figure out who's who, what's what. And that's only Saudi Arabia. You can't touch Iran. In Syria, you have the Russians. Well, you have over there Lebanon and other little countries over there. Not even Egypt. Egypt signed a lot of agreements with Russia. And then immediately Blinken, I think, went over there to try to not blackmail them, buy them out with something. But how are you going to buy them out? Are you going to give them food? I mean, eventually you get the same needs, basic needs. And if you can't cover the basic needs for Egypt, what do you think? You're going to have Egypt not having food, but follow you? He's going to be toppled by his own people. So how are you going to provide Egypt with food? No. With grain? No. Russia will. So you know what? Everything comes from the resources and power. If you have the resources, national resources, and you have the power, the might, the military, and that's exactly what Russia has, exactly what the US has. That's not what Iran has. That's not what, Saudi Arabia has. They have one of it, but they don't have the other one. They have the resources, but they don't have the military power, as the other ones I'm talking about. So this is another boom underneath, below the belt, coming from these guys. And remember, Iran wants to join BRICS, and I think the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and then Saudi Arabia is interested in that. This is the new club that's forming, little by little. You see its shapes, catches shapes, and you see it. And these guys are still the same way with blackmail. They're still working with the same mentality, the Americans. Wherever they go, to Africa, wherever they go to South America, to East Asia, they use the same, as I say, the same diplomatic click way of doing things since 1991. When they were not opposed. So they say, well, we can do whatever we want. So we're going to be what we are, thugs. We're going to beat everybody up. We don't have to convince them with, arguments. We're going to say, if you don't do this, we're going to punch you in the face. Boom. You don't want to do that, we're going to sanction. We're going to turn you into a, caveman nowadays, if you want. Boom, that's it. That's how they led in the so-called Pax Americana since 1991. They had, as I said, Americans forgot about diplomacy, the real diplomacy. They forgot about negotiations. They got rid of those from their toolbox of diplomacy. So they got rid of those. They remained with four, as I said many times before, four tools in the toolbox of diplomacy United States has, and that is threats, then escalate to blackmail, and then escalates to regime change, and escalates with attack, military bombardments, attack, invasion, whatever. Do you think the countries like to be talked like that? As small as you are. Do you like that? I don't like it. So no wonder when you have someone who speaks a little bit softer and gives a little bit more importance and talks to you like an equal and takes away the might and threats and all that. Don't you want to do business with that one instead of this one? And this one talks about, look, United States talks about only these things. Isolating someone, sanctioning someone. You know, if you don't do this, we're going to do this to you. If you don't change your behavior, we're going to sanction you. We're going to hurt you. Behavior meaning don't do what I'm telling you what to do. But they consider themselves the defenders of truth. And I mean, it's sad. It's sad, but it's very obvious. And you have people that don't see it that way. Well, that's their right. The problem is they also vote. So they're going to nullify other people's vote. But that's the beauty of democracy, of mass democracy. If you have the megaphones that influence these people, they will always win. So anyway, this is it, my friends. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.